I trust him. I have faith in him. And it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him.
Well, that aged well. I walked into the office this morning to the headline on every TV, Hunter Biden charged. I was like, okay, we're making progress. Then I started to unpack it. Now, the allegations he was being investigated for were tax fraud, which I'll get into in just a sec, but also they charged him for lying on a federal gun purchase form, which is a felony for people like you and I. Now, this is being dropped in exchange for what is just probation for the 2 counts of tax fraud, all obviously pending a judge's approval, of course. But from the party cracking down on guns for law-abiding citizens, for the top of their party's son to not be charged is, I think, the pinnacle of a 2-tier justice system, especially when this is the standard set by the subject's own father.
You can't deal with crime without dealing with gun violence. More resources reduce violent crime and gun crime. Take additional common sense steps to reduce gun crimes and violence.
No. Well, also to the same point, Biden was equally as hard on this issue.
If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter, if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice.
They're not even prosecuting proven drug use. Hunter even admits this in one of his books. This crime needs to be prosecuted, this gun crime. You know, if I broke a gun law, they would hit me and charge me to the hilt. The ATF just turned an estimated 20 million law-abiding citizens into felons overnight for something they owned totally legally yesterday. Yet the guy who they have dead to rights about lying, doing drugs, and illegally purchasing a firearm, they're going to let walk. It's not okay with me. But this is only half the problem. Hunter was also charged with tax fraud. And this is where I shake my head, because obviously the DOJ is acknowledging that Hunter Biden actually has all this money. But they refuse to ask where all that money came from. Why does this matter? Because we are taxed at different rates depending on how it was paid to you. Domestic versus foreign, for example, paid in options versus W-2 versus lump sum. There are differences for each one. You would have to determine the source of the income in order to adequately apply the tax code to see how much tax fraud he actually committed and what penalties would be levied. But now let's get into what James Comer is interested in, the where the money came from. This is going to heat up quick. This factor that the DOJ seemingly ignored, they either have, maybe they're hiding it, maybe they just don't care. We know for a fact that Burisma, a Ukrainian natural gas company, paid Hunter Biden like 80 grand a month to consult. And he has zero expertise in this field, mind you. This occurred suspiciously around the same time that Joe Biden was the, quote, point man for Obama in Ukraine. And he had this prosecutor fired who was looking into the very company that is now alleged to have paid $10 million to Hunter and Joe. Joe Biden admitted this on stage. These non-chargers, they're a smokescreen that places like CNN proclaim that justice has been done and see, justice is blind. No, it's all BS. It's just to give cover for the big guy. This might conclude the DOJ investigation into Hunter, but certainly does not conclude the House investigation. Now, historically, the DOJ has avoided commenting or even providing records on anything to the GOP House that they request.
I have pledged not to interfere with that investigation, and I have carried through on my pledge.
Yeah, every time they ask him anything, oh, it's an ongoing investigation, I can't comment. Well, now it's no longer ongoing. It's closed. The job of the House is to provide oversight to the executive branch, which includes the DOJ. Is Merrick Garland going to cough up the records? I mean, they're not classified, by the way. Or is he going to fight like Christopher Wray did to the bitter end? We'll find that out shortly. But if you think justice is blind, the system works, or whatever you think, consider this. All of the Trump people who were charged in the Mueller probe were charged with process crimes. No one had anything to do with Russia. That's proven. What was the number one thing that Mueller used to go after people? Well, look at Mike Flynn. It was lying to the FBI. Lying. which by the way, the agent that interviewed him didn't even think he was lying. But also tax issues. Some of them even sent to jail over it. Since our legal system, though, is based on precedent, why the slap on the wrist for Hunter? So let's look back at the Mueller probe and how many Trump campaign members got absolutely hammered with life-changing charges. George Papadopoulos, he's a friend of the show, charged with 1 count of false statements, no different than Hunter Biden. He issued a guilty plea on probation. How about Rick Gates? He got slammed. 2017, he was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy against the U.S., false statements, just like Hunter. They gave him 45 days in prison, 3 years probation, 300 hours of community service, and a $20,000 fine. Roger Stone, charged with 7 counts of obstruction of proceeding. They also got him on false statements, just like Hunter, and witness tampering. The result? 40-month prison sentence, $20,000 fine, 2 years of supervised release. How about Paul Manafort? Man, they got this guy twice. In 2017, he was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy against the U.S. and conspiracy to obstruct justice. They gave him 73 months in prison. The next year, they charged him with another 18 counts of filing false tax returns, just like Hunter. Failed to report foreign bank and financial accounts and bank fraud, much like Hunter. Except for Manafort, he got an additional 47-month prison term, unlike Hunter. So for crimes that were extremely similar to Hunter Biden, Paul Manafort was given a total of 120 months in prison. That's like a decade. And what did none of these inmates do? Well, crack for one, but none of them committed a felony gun charge either. So before anyone dares to call this justice system fair, now that Hunter Biden has been charged, slap on the wrist, please understand, this is just the latest example of rules for thee and not for me. This is in our government. Has Hunter Biden truly been held accountable? Absolutely not. Will there be a raid on his home? No. Will he spend a minute behind bars? No. There's still decades worth of crimes not included in this. Yeah, so what's the difference between all of Mueller's targets, all the charges, and the recently charged Hunter Biden? None of them had a father in the White House.